1970s, at just 17 years old, I joined the U.S. Coast Guard. Unlike most kids my age, I already had my fixed-wing pilot's rating before I even signed up. Flying was in my blood, and I knew from the start that the cockpit was where I belonged. When I passed the aviation test, my path became clear. I wasn't just going to fly, I was going to be a helicopter pilot. That goal drove every decision I made from the moment I stepped off the bus at boot camp. After graduating, I headed to Pensacola, Florida for helicopter flight training. The focus was on the MH-65, and I couldn't have been more excited. But excitement wasn't enough. The next 14 months would be the most grueling of my life, testing every ounce of endurance, discipline, and determination I had. It was early mornings and late nights, pushing my body and my mind past their limits. I worked twice as hard as anyone around me, never allowing myself to lag behind. I wasn't there to scrape by. I wanted to be competitive, to stand out, to become one of the best helicopter pilots the Coast Guard had. In the end, I became exactly what I had set out to be. A Coast Guard helicopter pilot flying search and rescue missions in Alaska. The hardest 14 months I ever endured forged me into the pilot I had dreamed of becoming. A rescuer ready to answer the call when lives were on the line. What made graduation so special was my mom and dad surprising me by showing up. Seeing them there in the crowd, proud of what I had accomplished, made every struggle worth it. That moment was the payoff for all the sweat and sacrifice and the beginning of my story. After 31 years in the Coast Guard, I began to think about what would come next. I still wanted to help people, but in a new way. So after retiring, I pursued and earned my law degree. Trading my flight suit for a courtroom, I began a second chapter of service, this time with words, advocacy, and cross-examinations instead of helicopters. Even then, I couldn't step away from the sky completely. Once retired, I continued flying as a rotorcraft pilot instructor, helping others chase their own dreams of flight, sharing the lessons I had learned through years of hard flying and tough rescues. Staying connected to aviation was more than a career choice. It was part of who I am. This is just the start of my story, one shaped by the skies of Alaska and the people and animals, the discipline of the Coast Guard, and a lifelong commitment to helping others, whether in the air, in the courtroom, or beyond.